This is the Pentair EasyTouch EC-520703 pool and spa control system. I just wanted to share my experience with this in case anyone else is considering it, because pool equipment can turn into a bunch of separate controls really fast, and I got tired of walking back and forth to the pad every time I wanted to change something. I'm the kind of person who does my own basic pool care, and I like things to be predictable. If you have a pool and a spa and you are managing pumps, heating, lights, and water features, you already know how annoying it is when each thing has its own timer or switch, or when the logic is spread across different boxes. This control system is for the person who wants one place where the pool and spa equipment can be coordinated, so you are not constantly babysitting it. In plain terms, this unit sits with your pool equipment and becomes the central point that tells different parts of your system what to do and when to do it. For me, the big difference is not that it adds some new magic feature. It is that it reduces little daily frustrations. I can set the behavior once, and then I stop thinking about it as much. Looking at it up close, the enclosure feels like it is made for outdoor life. It is not fancy, but it feels solid. The door closes with a latch, and once it is shut, everything inside feels protected from sun and rain. I have mine in the same area as the pump and filter, so it is getting heat, dust, splash, and weather like everything else out there. Over time, I stopped worrying about it. It has been through heavy rain and high summer heat, and it has not acted strange or become unreliable. The inside layout also matters more than I expected. The wiring channels and the way the door closes makes it easier to keep things neat, which is helpful later when you have to troubleshoot or add something. The front panel is where I spend time when I am physically at the unit. It has a display and buttons that are straightforward once you learn what the menus are trying to say. I will be honest, the first few days felt a little overwhelming, not because the buttons are complicated, but because pool automation has its own vocabulary and you have to map that to your specific equipment. After I lived with it for a week or two, it started feeling normal, like learning the layout of a new car. Setup is the part where I think people need to be realistic. This is not like plugging in a streaming box. You are dealing with electrical wiring, relays, pumps, heaters, and safety considerations. I hired a professional for installation, and I do not regret that. I was comfortable doing small repairs, but I did not want to guess my way through wiring on pool equipment. Once it was installed, I did the programming myself, and that part was doable with patience. Expect to spend time naming circuits in a way that makes sense to you, and expect to test each function one by one. I had a couple of moments where I thought something was not working, and it turned out I had assigned a function to the wrong circuit name. Day to day, it is mostly boring, and that is a compliment. My pump schedule runs when it should. Switching between pool mode and spa mode is consistent, and it saves me from forgetting a step. Before this, I would sometimes heat the spa and then forget to change a valve position, or I would run the pump longer than needed because I did not want to go outside again to adjust it. Now I set schedules and I make small changes without it turning into a whole project. A real example from my routine is weekends. If I know I am going to use the spa in the evening, I can set it earlier in the day so it is ready when I want it. Another example is lighting. I like having the pool lights on when people come over, but I do not want to remember it every time. Setting that once and letting it run is one of those small quality of life things that adds up. I also noticed it helped me be more intentional about energy use, not by doing anything mysterious, but by making scheduling easier to stick with. When scheduling is annoying, I procrastinate and I end up running equipment longer than needed. With this, I adjusted run times, and I moved certain cycles to hours that made sense for my household. It is not about chasing perfect savings. It is just about not wasting power because I was lazy or busy. One thing I appreciate is diagnostics and alerts. It is not a full replacement for knowing your pool system, but it can point you in the right direction when something seems off. I had a situation where a piece of equipment was not responding the way I expected, and having a centralized system made it faster to narrow down whether it was a programming issue, a relay issue, or the equipment itself. Without that, I probably would have spent more time guessing. Now, about remote control. This system can work with the Pentair ScreenLogic2 Interface, and that is what I use when I want to control things from my phone or a computer. In real life, remote access is what keeps me using automation instead of ignoring it. If I am inside and the weather is bad, I can still check status and make changes. If I am away from home and I want to confirm the schedule is running, I can look without asking someone else to walk out to the equipment. It is also handy when you are entertaining. I can adjust lights or switch to spa mode without stepping away for a few minutes. That said, remote functionality is also where people can get surprised. To get the exact experience you want, you might end up adding accessories. I personally wanted a wireless remote inside the house as a backup, and that was not included in my setup by default. It is not a deal breaker, but it is something to keep in mind. This system can be a solid core, and then you build the exact control experience you want around it. There are a few limitations worth saying out loud. The learning curve is real, especially if you have never used pool automation. The menu logic is consistent, but it is not instantly intuitive. I also think the setup experience depends heavily on whoever installs it and how clean the wiring and labeling are. If the installation is rushed, you feel that later when you are trying to make changes. I would also say that if you like everything to be modern and app-only, you might still end up using the panel at the box more than you expect, especially when you are troubleshooting or doing seasonal changes. In terms of performance in real conditions, mine has been stable. It does what I tell it to do. It does not randomly forget schedules. It holds up outdoors. It makes pool and spa use feel more routine instead of a series of little tasks. If you are someone who enjoys manual control and you are at the equipment pad all the time anyway, you might not care. But if you are trying to reduce the number of times you have to walk outside to flip switches, adjust heat, or check what is running, this kind of centralized control helps. So my overall impression, after living with it, is that it is a practical control system that makes the equipment feel coordinated. It is not something I would recommend as a casual weekend project unless you already know pool electrical work. With a good installation and a little patience during programming, it becomes something you rely on without thinking about it every day. I will update specific information about the Pentair EasyTouch EC-520703 pool and spa control system in the comments. Don't forget to catch my next video.